Good morning, everybody. Welcome to more cardboard crack related content, though today this is not magic, this is Battle Spirits, and I'll go more in depth into it when I actually get the full video out. But for a very long story short, the Atlanta Grand Open was just this weekend here in Atlanta, Battle Spirits, and I actually ended up top 16ing. Admittedly, I ended up only getting 16th place. I immediately lost my first top 16 to my worst matchup, to a very skilled player, Colin. He's very good. And it's obviously my worst matchup, so what are you to do? But regardless, I am super stoked I got as far as I did. My record after Swiss was 6-2. My only losses were also against Red. Round 4 against my fellow teammate Justin, and round 6 to a game that I really should have won, but honestly, I just punted it because I did not play around Seabed Lighthouse and didn't even anticipate it being an issue. So I brought Yellow Fable Beasts to the Pro Tour, or not Pro Tour, but to Grand Open. It's been the deck I've been playing for about a month now. I've made various changes over time. I've basically been copying a lot of the top lists and then just kind of going from there. I start with the Utrecht lists, then the UK stuff, then Pasadena, and ultimately settled on the list that I ended up bringing. I'm going to go at least through some of the stuff. It's pretty self-explanatory though until I get to some of the spicier choices. So to start with, of course, we have Hippocampo, your very early play. You want Bless Triggers immediately. This thing comes out pretty simple and is probably your best 3-drop. In some cases, though, the next one, Carbulk here, is your other very good 3-drop. The benefit is being 2 reductions, meaning you get it out earlier, you can get it to combo with 2 Nexuses and Paradise very early for card draw, and then importantly gets to 5k, which helps you dodge most of the red removal spells that unfortunately most of your other units kind of fall into when they don't have great core investments. For 4-drops, my love again, hate again boy, Crocodile. You swing in to clock him in the face. On the one hand, this guy sucks because he is such a massive core investment for 3k that dies to just about anything. On the other hand, he is one of the only blessed units that gets around Camilo Whip, which is what all the fucking red decks were playing, and he gets around so you can at least swing for Bless Triggers pretty early. The next 4-drop is Hex. One of your main draw engines when you can't get Nexuses up. What's nice that he gets to 6k, which again helps dodge the majority of removal. Only thing that it misses out to is Volcanic Break, but if your opponent is breaking this, you're probably in a pretty good position, either hand-wise or board-wise, in my opinion. But I never had anyone break it, so it doesn't really matter. And as for the larger guys, sub 4, we have the Dual Eagle, not to be confused with Bearded Eagle. Really nice. The level 3 ability to let your blessed units get past low core investment boards is pretty nice. And just being a 6k boy with Blessed is just very good. 2 Flagellum. This might be a bit contentious. I only liked 2. I was playing with 4, then 3, and I still felt I was bricking way too fucking much. This feels awful when you are really hoping for a Fable Beast and then drawing Jack, and then just draw this. The dead draw for this feels so bad, especially in matchups where you really want Fable Beast to then swing in unblockable. So I dropped it to 2. Would I go back to 3 or 4? Maybe for the red matchup. Maybe I would have kept one to the side, but I just was not a fan of 3 or 4, so I just made it 2. And then finally, for the last of our creatures, the big boy Genbu, a mother friggin' house of a card. A very hard to answer. Everyone's throwing in vanillas though, so it's kind of easy to answer there. But otherwise, if your opponents really have a lot in the way of blockers or just things to do, you can very easily set up a Genbu, set up an Eagle, and then just start flinging your guys into your opponent's face to either say, hey, you block this and let my Eagle restand, or you don't and you still take the damage. Either way, I'm going to get some advantage. And you put them into an even weirder situation when you have your Nexuses up to complicate the decision more for your opponent. But Genbu was a very good guy the whole game, for the whole time. I do think over tournament, Genbu is great. The only weird case is when you draw him early and he's your only Fable Beast. I had one game, I think it was against Red, round 5 or so. It was against Red, and my opener turn after Mulligan was I think Ice Shield, Cathedral, Paradise. And then the first Fable Beast I saw was Genbu's, which I just went, oh my god, if he has early Nexus removal, I am screwed 6 ways from Sunday. Speaking of the Nexuses, 4 Cathedrals, and of course, 4 Paradises.
The Heart and Soul of Yellow. You take off their nexuses, you kill them dead. But easiest way to say it, if you let Yellow get its nexuses out, you are dead, because they just generate so much advantage. Paradise generates so much more immediate advantage. Cathedral takes a little more time to get up to the crazy advantage level it creates. But my god, once it gets there, you are off to the friggin' races. Magic Suite is a little different, I'd say, than maybe most. Obviously, the 4 Exhaust Nexus, this is almost mandatory into the red matchup, and I'd almost say mandatory into green. Flagellum extending Exhaust Nexus to hitting 10k off 2 generally wins you the red matchup, especially if they don't have an answer for Flagellum. If they can't bounce Flagellum back for the Luster trigger, you're pretty much sold, because you just get to keep swinging Flagellums turn after turn, mitigating and deleting their board state. I'd say also kind of against green, mostly because it gets rid of Tokiwas and it makes Fang Wongs much more manageable to deal with. But yeah, no, Exhaust Nexus is a house of a card. In terms of the non-yellow magic, this is the only yellow magic that we're running main board. Double Suppression, Double Dream Bomb is my choice over, instead of for all slash main board, I have that sided. I thought these would be better, mostly because I was really teching for red to try and give myself more of an edge in that matchup. Bluntly to say, as I will say eventually in my full video for the Atlanta journey, red was like my main villain that I really want to try to beat, so obviously I had my friends beat the shit out of me with red. Suppression really helps because you are swinging at your guys pretty frequently. The only case where this kind of goofs is on Crocodile, because Crocodile also wants the Soul Core, but the best case there is just swinging Clock. If it connects, that's cool. If it doesn't, whatever. You'll still have your Soul Core for use, and you can just gear up a Genbu to block through a 10k Andromeda, because a lot of times it's like, well, we want to kill the Genbu, but they have to sacrifice Andromeda to do it. Dream Bomb is also nice, helps you avoid dying, helps remove... I think the most important thing about this is that it removes the reductions on your opponent's board state, which then forces them to rebuild. A lot of times I would get Dream Bombed with I'd get like a Genbu or an Eagle Dream Bomb back to my hand, and honestly, I don't really mind that too much, just because it's just kind of whatever. It's either more draws with Paradise, or it's just like, all right, it just takes another turn to run this back out. But generally, you're on so much life with Bless Triggers that you don't really care. As for the last 4, also not last 4, but last 8, Ice Shield because it's mandatory, and then 4 Thorn Prison. I like this a lot just because in the cases where your opponent has too many friggin' vanillas but they decide to make a attack investment, Thorn Prison either saves you, either in a bad spot where your opponent is trying to swing out and deck you dead, or more frequently, makes way by tapping down vanillas to let you get Bless Triggers through, or simply get force damage through. Worst case scenario, or maybe even best case scenario, they have to burn a suppression for like a Bearded Eagle to do something. But I liked Thorn Prison. I thought it performed well over the weekend. And that's the main board. The sideboard is where things try to get a little spicy. As I said before, I was trying to tech for the red matchup, so this is a little bit more tech for that, but honestly, yellow doesn't really have that much going into red, so I try to finagle some things. Floodstream, because I saw everyone going like Bearded Eagle, Camilla Whip. You kind of don't really care too much about the big guys, so you just do this to 2-for-1 them and then help push through. My spicy tech was double Apollo Dinos. Unfortunately, I never saw this fucker like at all over the weekend. I saw him like once in actual Swiss, and then I saw him in the side event. But the side event one was hysterical. My opponent was playing red, built out their big board of guys. There was like a Dragno King, Andromeda, and like something else. Oh, Trident Dragon. Literally the bosses of red, all 10k. I have Apollo Dinos in hand. I have a bunch of yellow things to go. Okay, cool. Extend the board up for yellow. Exhaust Nexus for 2. Run out Apollo Dinos for exactly 5 and 5 with the Soul Core. Swing for 7. Blow up their board. Game-winning move because he was not able to rebuild afterwards. It was crazy. But, unfortunately, this did not perform as well as I wanted to, mostly because I never friggin' saw it when I really wanted it, in the cases where it would have been great, in positions where my opponent has to just put out a Dragno King on 5, like, just to get it out there, and a Bearded Eagle also on 5. It's like, awesome, I can 2-for-1. Apollo Dinos was never in my hand for it, unfortunately. I think this is probably a good tech, but, like, it's reliant on yellow being in a mid position against red, which means you are already losing the card advantage battle, which would imply you need to run things like Starblessed Main, or Volcanic Canyon, which you don't really want to do, or not Starblessed, Strong Draw. What are you going to do there? As for the rest of the sideboard, double Godslaying. Very, very nice into the green matchup because they swing out with a big guy like Fangwong or Jaeger. You go, cool, answer my Godslaying, which then forces them to Dream Bomb or do something very, I wouldn't say reductive, but they have to burn more resources than you to keep their guy alive versus you saying, cool, I don't mind losing my guy. Unfortunately, and also into white. I never actually saw white, though, so it's kind of whatever, but it's nice for the matchup. And then finally, the 4 Feral Slashes that never really came up, I'll be honest. I'll break down through Swiss, but basically, like, most of my rounds where I think this would have been really helpful, I either never drew it or it never came up. So unfortunately, I think my side deck could have been a lot better for this event, but I think for what I was able to do with the side deck, I think it worked out pretty well. In terms of the actual main deck construction, I'm very happy with it, honestly. There's not really much you can mainboard for red or just to improve your matchups there, but suppression mainboard very much helps. I think maybe in the future, I would go like maybe 3 suppression, honestly, but I don't know, it kind of gets goofy with ratios, I think. I'd have to investigate it more. As for the brief overview of my rounds, round 1 was against yellow. Wasn't quite the blessed match or mirror match. It was like blessed but also running 2s. He got me game 1 because he just rushed me the hell out of nowhere with 4 freestyles off the top. And then games 2 and 3, I ended up taking it. Round 2 was against red. That one went 2-1. Round 3 was against green. The guy unfortunately misheard the announcement they made and assumed it was lunch. So he didn't show up for the first 5 minutes, and honest to God, he had 10 seconds left on my timer before he would have been given match loss. Before he showed up, and unfortunately he got game loss, and then game 2, he was playing Gale. Swept that very easily. He tried to double heart me out, but I had about 3 different ways to stop that. Either Ice Shield from hand, Ice Shield from burst, on like the first attack from like a Jaeger, and Thorn Prison in hand. I think I just went Thorn Prison to stop his guys. Round 4 was unfortunately against my teammate Justin. He was playing red, he 2-0'd me. Round 5 was another red matchup that I went 2-1 into. Round 6 was another red matchup that I lost 2-1 to. Like I said before, I punted very badly. I had an Ice Shield in hand, I was drawing a lot of cards. I didn't throw it into burst game 3, and then he put out Seabed, which then shut off my entire hand of suppressions, Thorn Prisons, and Flood Streams that would have saved me and not just killed me dead, basically. Round 7 was against Gale. That was a 2-0 for me, but a very sticky game of just game 1 eventually turned into what I think every game against Gale turns into with Yellow, where you have a bunch of guys, they have a bunch of small dudes, or they just have a bunch of big dudes and like 3 Highlands with cores on them, which means you can't swing your guys in efficiently without getting tapped out, which means you also need backup for defense. And then round 8, I finally played against the mirror for the first time. That mirror is awful. Whoever gets out Nexus first generally is in a better position. The only reason I was able to win out, I think, game 2 is because I also started with a Arcana Hex, but no Nexuses. But the draw from the life gain really kept me going. And eventually, it was straight up in game 2. I'm trying to figure out, like, a lethal line, and he goes, you got it, I'm tired as hell. And I can't blame him at that point. It was about 9 o'clock, so, you know, like, basically 11, 12 hours of just straight game. But I will once again extend my thanks to the local game store here in Atlanta, Gigabytes Cafe. Please go check them out. They do locals every Thursday. Everyone there, Nick, Justin, Davis, Tanya, Daniel, Ederson, Rhodey, they all helped me a lot trying to just get testing in and prepare for this event. And very stoked that obviously they'll come out to support and help play the game. Obviously, big thanks to Cap Crow Jonah, who also helped me with testing. One of the really good guy, helped me out a lot with this. And also thanks to PPG for organizing this first place, and Bandai for bringing Battle Spirit stateside. This has been a very fun game, and as much as I would love to go to Pro Tour, timing has not worked out quite well, and I'll be 100% honest, I was not expecting to go top 16. I was almost convinced kind of going in that with so much red, I'd be in a very disadvantageous position. But even though I ended up losing in top 16 to Colin, I can still say I was the only Fable Beast player that made top 16. I'll take it. I'll take it. But anyway, thank you guys so much again for watching. I'll see you next time with more cardboard crack related content. And stay tuned or at some point, the Grand Open Atlanta video. See you then.